We're going to do an underglaze transfer where we put underglaze painted onto a surface of newsprint. You could also use tissue paper if you wanted. And we're going to transfer it onto a leather hard plate and then peel it back, leaving the transfer behind. So it looks a little bit, we could say rustic, I guess. Here's an example of one that's been bisqued. Another that has been bisqued here. This part is the transfer, and then these have been transferred as well. These images here. There's a little a little bit of Mishima in there, but this is an underglaze transfer as well. So I'm going to show you how to do it and the techniques involved. So we have got here the start of an underglaze transfer image. Whatever you put on first is what's going to be on the top, because we are going to turn it over, attach it, and then peel this off. You will see that and understand it a little more clearly as we do it. So this is one that I've started with some dots of purple and green, and then anything that I lay over, you will not see it, but when it is peeled off, that will be on the top. So we're building the image to the last thing we put on is what's going to be on the surface of the clay. So I've put down some yellow, blue, and red stripes. I'm going to just paint some underglaze on this, and I'll cover some of it up. And if there is time during this video, I will transfer this one. I have one that's already dry that I can show you. Just got black underglaze here that I'm just painting on. This is looking a little messy the way I'm doing it. You can go neater. I'm just trying to be quick, and then that ends up getting messier. And you don't need to put, I don't need to cover all of this yellow and the blue with underglaze because you're not going to see it anyway. But you're not going to see, there was no underglaze underneath those blue dots, or those blue dots were not on any underglaze. So I'm painting over it so that in the spaces around the blue dots and around these stripes and lines, we have black. So there's nothing here, so I'm painting some black right there. Okay, I'm going to set this aside for now, and I'm going to show you this, how to transfer. So I've got this plate here ready to go. It is leather hard, and I have this underglaze transfer. It's just been painted on there. If you do it ahead of time and you wait a day or two, this might chip off as it's moved. So you kind of make it, let it set up and dry, and then you put it on. So you could, this is still quite tacky, so I'm not going to worry about putting any more moisture on there, and I'm going to sit that in there. I've pre-cut it to the right size. I'm going to take my water, I'm going to take my sponge, and I'm going to start at the center and just put some moisture on it and kind of stick it on with my water. And you can see that it's trying to lift a little bit. So we're putting the moisture in to release the underglaze from the newsprint. So this can be a tricky one because, of course, with moisture on the newsprint, it wants to stretch out. So that's on there, but that does not by any means mean that this is transferred. Now, I'm using things you have at home. I usually use a soft rubber rib, but you don't have that at home. You have a regular rib, and you can use that. And I'm just gonna rub it in. You know, a spoon would also work really great. So you can use a spoon if you have one. The end of the scissors would probably also work really well. The trick is just to do even pressure and work your way out. And you can actually see here that that actually has worked. Never used a scissors on it before. And you can kind of see the difference in what's there. So You want to be careful that you don't tear the paper as you work on this. And we're working from the edges outwards as we go. And I'm seeing some extra moisture. Extra moisture will kind of puddle, and we can see here that it's actually causing some of the underglaze to come out the sides. A water, like a spritzer bottle, would actually also be nice. So if you don't have scissors, you just use this. Your rib will work great. I just didn't take a rib because the sides are higher here and I didn't want to be bumping into them all the time. And then you're going to try to lift it. You're going to check it before you peel it back. So you're going to kind of lift. Now I didn't put any pressure on the outside edge here, so it won't be a very good indicator. But if you look here, you can see if it's transferred or not. So some of it has transferred really nicely and some of it hasn't. So that gives you the opportunity to go back, add a little bit of water, massage it in. Now, if you use your fingers or any kind of abrasive surface, you might pick up some of the newsprint and then smudge your image underneath. So if you kind of keep it as an even pressure, of course, the pokey end is up. And you don't want to let it dry on there. So we'll pick this up and we'll see that transferred nicely. And you can pull it back. And you did not see the green dots. I had put green dots down first. And as we start to pull it up, you can see that it's left it behind actually quite nicely. Pull it up closer. So I can see when I'm pulling it up that it hasn't done this part, so I could go back, tiny little bit of water, press it back down, pick it back up. So this is a nice way to transfer an image. It's a little bit of a weathered look. That's okay, still works really nicely. And that is underglaze transfer.